Today, our goal is very, very simple, is to share with you all, not only talk about the state of the crypto markets today, but most importantly, what we need to do to get from the 50 million wallets that we have today to the billion users on crypto. I can't promise you we're going to answer all the questions and solve all the crypto problems today, but I promise you it's going to be insightful, it's going to be interesting, and most importantly, it's going to be exciting. And to do this, we have the Dream Team panel with us today, and I'll introduce them one by one so you have the chance to get to know them. The first on our upper left is Kris Marszalek, who's the CEO of Crypto.com, where they claim they're the best place to buy, sell, and pay with crypto. By the way, one thing about Kris people don't know, he started his first business at the age of 11 selling computer games. So here you go. At a time I was watching video games and watching cartoons, he was running business already. Kris, great to have you on board with us today. Next is Vanessa Grellet. Vanessa is the executive director at ConsenSys, where she focuses on enterprise consulting and strategic initiatives, including the EA, the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, which we all know. And most importantly, she's on the board of the Counting Blockchain Coalition. As an audit firm, I can tell you it's very important. And she's the president of the Blockchain for Social Impact Coalition. Great to have you with us. One thing about Vanessa people don't know. She's an avid horseback rider, and she used to play polo when she was living in London. So here we go. So people in crypto have many skills and many talents, including polo. Great to have you with us from that perspective, Vanessa. Next is Barhydt. Bill is the founder of Abra, one of the world's leading experts on cryptocurrencies and financial inclusion, topics that we'll talk about today. Something interesting about Bill people don't know, he's a man of many firsts. He gave the first TED Talk about Bitcoin in 2012. He ran the first mobile remittance service in the US in 2005. And my favorite, while he was working at Netscape, he was part of a team that worked to deploy the new SSL technology in over 100 countries to create the internet that we all use today, at a time where probably the internet was where crypto is today. So great to have you with us, Bill, and we look forward to hearing from you. Next is Galia. Galia Benartzi is the co-founder of the Bancor protocol, which has processed nearly 2 billion in token conversions in 18 months since launch across 140 cryptocurrencies on both Ethereum and EOS. One thing, by the way, about Galia people don't know is that her dog and sidekick, Negev, serves as Bancor's chief happiness officer. And you know, the dog is actually at the office, and even when she's here, the dog is still at the office working hard. So here you go. Great way to have new types of staff on board. And last but not least is Maxine Ryan. Maxine, who's based here in Hong Kong, is the co-founded Bitspark in 2014. Bitspark was the first firm in the world to send the cash-in, cash-out money transfer using Bitcoin, and now they provide bankless money transfer solutions across Asia and Africa with over 500,000 cash-out locations. So great again, we'll talk about financial inclusion in a second. One thing, by the way, about Maxine people don't know, this is typical Hong Kong, she has a paragliding license, but does not have a driver's license. So here we go. That's what makes it cool again. So here we go. From polo to paragliding, we have it all in crypto land. So let's start about talking about how we're going to get to that billion users we want. Bill, I'll start with you. On the retail investor side, I mean, obviously you guys have a pretty large retail investor client base. On a scale to 1 to 10, where do we think we are right now when it comes to the offering that we have for retail investors? If my mom wants to buy Bitcoin, are we there yet?
Look, I think that for retail investors, I don't really see the short-term opportunity just in Bitcoin speculation. I think it's fine if people want to own some Bitcoin. I obviously own a lot of it. I think tell people, look, if you want to put a 2 to 4% of your net worth in Bitcoin or a basket like our Bit10, which is a combination of the 10 cryptos, you should do that, and that's great. But I think to get to the billion users and for mainstream adoption of Bitcoin, it's ultimately going to come down to Bitcoin being relegated to programmable money in the background, the same way TCP/IP represents network programming in the background. Right?
Yep.
You have no idea what happens when you push play on Netflix, and you should have no idea what happens when you buy Apple shares, using crypto-based smart contracts, which I think is going to be the first killer app for Bitcoin beyond just hard money speculation. That's what we're focused on, and it's taken us 4 years to be able to build the infrastructure, build the easy-to-use app, build the liquidity rails, wait for the infrastructure of Bitcoin to catch up, just to be able to just do the basics, to be able to offer the synthetic equity product that we're going to launch in a few weeks. And so I think that's the first time that you're going to have a Netscape moment in crypto, where the average consumer, and I can tell you based upon the pre-registrations we're seeing for the new equity product, that the average consumers that are coming into this will for the first time be registering for a product where they really don't understand that Bitcoin is driving it in the background.
Yep, beautiful.
That is just, I mean, if you've been in this for as long as I have, and it's been 10 years, that's amazing, you know.
It's like me sending an email not knowing what our internet protocols are in the back.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to a reporter earlier who's much younger than me and was looking at me like with a crooked head when I explained that in 1992, if you wanted to use the internet, you had Windows 3.11, you had to go to a third-party store, a retail store, buy TCP/IP software, they didn't know what that was, and install it on your computer to create an internet connection. That's where we are.
Correct.
Vis-a-vis your question today. Yeah. And I think now we have the opportunity to build that equivalent of Netscape.
Now, which is very exciting. Actually, Galia, I'll move it to you. From when it comes to token users and actually traders, many of us in the room are obviously using the various tokens or actually investing in it. Where are we on a scale to 1 to 10 when it comes to tokens, for example, when it comes to users of the platforms?
Yeah, so in a way we're at the same place. Bill called it -1. Maybe I'll call it +1.
Yeah.
Since you know the ICO phase of the past couple years has shown us that people can create tokens. Not billions of people. We're so far in the thousands of people, but we're definitely somewhere. I think I agree with everything Bill had to say about retail investors and investors using crypto. What's really interesting to us at Bancor is people using crypto. So investors are a small subset of that. You asked about your mom, or some people, you know, ask about their grandma or their grandpa or their dad buying Bitcoin, and I always ask, are they buying other assets? Are they buying gold? Are they buying commodities? Are they buying stocks? Many people do buy stocks, but most people that use the products that we think of as the most successful products of the internet age, your Facebook, your YouTube, your Reddit, are buying or consuming products that they want to use, rather than products that they want to invest in and wait for them to appreciate and then cash out some of that appreciation in the future. They want to use the product now. And so when tokens are useful, when my token can buy me products, so in the commerce paradigm, when my token can get me access to things backstage at a concert or a WhatsApp group with someone that I want to be in touch with. When my token can give me things I want, my token is useful, and that's where we see really the billions of users adopting crypto. And like Bill said, they won't think of it as crypto. They'll think of it as a product. They'll think of it as a service. They'll think of it as access to something they want to be in. They won't think of liquidity networks. They won't think of blockchains. And which blockchain is my token on? No consumer will ever say that.
Absolutely. Well, actually, let's move on to you mentioned about the moms and grandpas who want to buy crypto. Actually, I'll move it to you, actually, Kris. Do you think some of the exchanges recently have been failing the community? I mean, for example, Quadriga and everything going on in Canada. As a CEO of a crypto exchange, if you could have a few words with Gerald, the former CEO of Quadriga, what would you tell him? And do you think we're moving towards best practices in the space?
Well, that's an unfortunate story. I mean, a few words for the gentleman. Well, don't touch customer funds would be a good one. Maybe don't trade against your customers. I mean, those are some basic principles, and obviously there was a poorly run company. I don't think it represents the standards that we see in the market today or where the market is going. I think all the top exchanges that today are serious trading venues, they are going towards proper certifications, SOC 1, SOC 2, clear client fund segregation. You know, there's those are proper businesses serving millions of customers and working hard to earn their reputation every day. I think Quadriga is just a blip on this screen in terms of if you look at the crypto timeline. You know, I wouldn't compare it to Mt. Gox or anything like this. I think in 12, 24 months, nobody's going to remember about it. It's a sad story nonetheless. But I would like to agree with Galia on the 1 billion number. If you want to really drive adoption, you need to pass this speculative stage, trading on exchanges. You need to go into payment space. There's obviously less people even today who hold equities than who buy groceries. So I think the move to payments is essentially if you want to get a true mass market adoption.
We'll talk about the mass market. I'll bring it to you actually, Maxine, because we have more than 1 billion unbanked people today, and we always advocate the issue of financial inclusion and to be able to get the mass market adoption. With your business, you guys focus on financial inclusion. Where do you think we are? From a scale to 0 to 10, where are we on the spectrum of really empowering financial inclusion and reaching that 1 billion people?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And I think the common theme here is that what's been happening the last 10 years is that you have a live wire situation when it comes to crypto, right? You're literally interfacing with the technology itself, and that isn't very helpful for everyday people. So what Bitspark does is essentially we want to own the entire end-to-end mile of money transfers using cryptocurrencies, and I can tell you that our businesses and our individuals do not care about crypto. What they care about is saving money, being able to send money overseas, being able to have that money land, and cash is also an incredible component that people tend to overlook.
Yep.
Right now, when people want to buy cryptocurrency for speculative reasons or for holding or investment, they still need a credit card. They still need to have a bank account. Yep. Sometimes they have to meet people on marketplaces and meet a random stranger on the street to buy crypto. So that's really unnecessary, I think, and I think the next 5 years is essentially companies like Bitspark ensuring that it's more of a product rather than an ideology. So for us, we really want to think and focus on leading with practicality rather than ideology.
What do you think, Vanessa? Because obviously you're the president of the Blockchain for Social Impact Coalition, very interesting name. But what do you think we are? I mean, do you agree on a scale to 0 to 10 when it comes to real financial inclusion?
Yeah, we're really at ground zero in terms of financial inclusion.
We're really not positive today. We're either -1 or 0, so here we go.
1 billion people don't even have identity. 2 billion are unbanked in the world. And I think there's two ways to tackle these issues. There's incremental change, working with the system, taking into account the reality on the ground, the fact that people are still using a lot of cash and trying to find solutions around that. And then there's also really systems change. And I think we can do both, meaning that do I really want to bank the unbanked? Do I really want to put people who have been kicked out of the institutions in institutions which are operated by defunct rules and regulation that are cash-based and based on paper economies? That's an open question. I think a lot of people are focusing on creating new ways for people to engage in financial inclusion that may not be in the existing system. And I think we need both. There are ideas around credit worthiness, around creating and building up credit that is not linked to the existing system. The idea that you can transfer cash outside the existing rails, but also get lending or other credit access outside of the existing system. So just to say that we need both in order to accelerate the process.
Well, talking about the existing system, Bill, I move it to you. I mean, when it comes to stable coins, right? Obviously, there's been a lot of developments when it comes to stable coins in the last couple of months. Do you think that is a secret that's going to bring us up? Because obviously, there's a lot of the existing players, existing system is involved in that process.
Well, it's not a secret since everybody seems to be creating one. But I do think it's interesting because the way I think about Bitcoin is like living inside the matrix, right? Bitcoin has no knowledge of the outside world. It just is itself, right? It's theoretically the ultimate decentralized system. And so we need a way to go from the physical world into the matrix. And I think stablecoins are interesting because they represent an opportunity to basically bridge the physical world and the digital world in a way that's, viable, right, and legal in most places, or can be made to be legal in most places, and also represent something that consumers and retail investors and traders can get their arms around, meaning they understand it. And that's great. And then eventually, if we do our jobs right, there'll be a point where we don't need that anymore because everything will be in the purely digital realm, and we don't have a need to go back, and hard money will be hard money, and old money will be forgotten. And but that could be 30, 40, 50 years from now. We have no idea, right? So I think up until that happens, being able to represent fiat currencies using smart contracts is a compelling. There's several ways to do that. You know, Abra has one extreme, and then just storing money on behalf of a consumer is another extreme. But until we get there, I think it's a viable means of kind of integrating old and new.
Talk about viable. Maybe Maxine, do you want to share? Because I know you guys launched recently stablecoin here in Hong Kong, really tackling financial inclusion. I mean, do you think that's a way to go where?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that we launched Hong Kong's first stablecoin, right? And the reason why we did that was because it allowed our customers to hold something tangible and something that they understood. We don't want our customers holding Bitcoin because if they hold Bitcoin, the price is volatile. But if they hold something like a SparkDex.HKD, that means that they can have it one-to-one pegged. So what we've done is that we actually have a vault in Hong Kong, and our customers, after they've gone through the necessary AML KYC, deposit their cash, and we're able to then give them a stablecoin balance. What the addition to this is that they're able to get a digital balance without having a bank account. And I think that's the main, I guess, like value that comes from stablecoins, is that anybody in the world will be able to hold a fiat currency and be able to send that overseas. So for us, it's absolutely a way for people to, I guess, bridge that gap between hard cash and also the digital cash. But I think the main thing for Bitspark and our use case for it is being able to create 180 plus pegged cryptocurrencies without bank accounts. That's really where the real value is for us. That's
interesting. Actually, bring it back to you, Bill, actually quickly on this topic, right? Because you're mentioning initially about how can we actually evolve, where we are, right? Right now, a lot of people are buying Bitcoin as a speculative asset, like you mentioned. But what do you think we need to make it more as an investment grade asset class, or bring it to the next level from that perspective? Moving, not the payment side, which is invisible, but maybe people who want to hold it as an asset class.
The crypto itself?
Yeah. Or you don't think that's the purpose of it?
No, I do. Well, no, I don't think it's the purpose, but I think it happens indirectly, because if you're adding value via crypto, and I think that the single best way to do that is collateralizing real-world assets using crypto, not tokenization, that's different.
Yeah.
Collateralizing real-world assets using Bitcoin is by far, in my opinion, the single best application of Bitcoin beyond just holding it as hard money, okay? Now, if I'm right with that, and you're collateralizing Apple shares and spiders and other altcoins and fiat currency, there's not enough Bitcoin on planet Earth to collateralize all those assets, which is great if you believe in Bitcoin, because the price is going to go up. And I believe that two things are going to happen as a result. One, that's going to give institutional investors the reason that they're looking for to get into this, beyond just the fact that everybody else is doing it, right? Because it's a tangible, viable application that I think is going to drive people all over the world to be using this, even if they don't know it. And hopefully they won't know it, because it means it's more useful. And so the side effect of that is it's going to drive retail interest as well, because once institutional money is coming in, retail money is also going to come in, right? And so by the time we get there, right, you're going to have mass consumer adoption of people who don't know they're using it, institutional investors who are helping drive the liquidity for the people that don't know they're using it, and retail investors who are coming along for the ride because they see that there's money to be made.
That's interesting. We'll talk about institutional investors in a second. I just want to move to Galia. I mean, obviously your platform, based on what Bill mentioned with Bitcoin, you guys are empowering a lot of utility tokens out there. I think your platform handles more than 140 of them right now. What do you think is the future of utility tokens?
Yeah, I'd love to give an example from an emerging market. We have a project in Kenya outside of Nairobi. We work with a not-for-profit on the ground there called Grassroots Economics. They basically help communities who don't have any access to the national money, so the Kenyan shilling. Rather, a product like Bitspark might help people get more access and be able to use the Kenyan shilling more efficiently, more effectively, with more mobility, cheaper. These are folks who have no access to the Kenyan shilling at all. They're seasonal workers. When the season is in, they can get shillings, and when the season is out, all the shillings leave the community. We minted for them their own currency. It's called Sarafu, which means money in Swahili. And they use this currency in the community to buy and sell goods. All the people are still there. All the products are still there. A lot of them are agricultural products, or they're farmers. There's services like teachers or people that cut your hair or build your house. And they use this currency to do trade in the community. You can have hundreds of millions of currencies out there like this that work in communities, now that we have the infrastructure like Bancor to allow these tokens to move in a liquid way between communities as well. Liquidity ultimately is the value of a currency. And so Vanessa was mentioning, these two paradigms of incremental change within the system, and certainly the system that we have can be improved by efficiencies that crypto has to offer, and systemic change, completely changing the money paradigm that we have in this generation. We think that the next generation of money looks almost nothing like this generation. It's not just governments issuing fiat currencies, giving licenses to banks to rent those currencies to the people. It's literally you and me and your mom and anyone else issuing currencies for their communities, for their projects, for their next music album, for whatever is the coordination or the collaboration that they want to create between people, and easily issuing tokens for those purposes and easily trading between those tokens as well. So it's a bit of a mind exercise, the way going from a horse and carriage economy to a car and train economy is a bit of a mind exercise of kind of that leap forward. But we think for sure that's where things are going, and we're building the infrastructure and the products to enable that world. We think that world is much more dynamic, much more inclusive, much more accessible, much more fair. When money can be created and generated from any point in society, that means more people can have access to it, and we think it's an interesting paradigm to work towards.
It's an interesting perspective, actually. I'm with you, actually, on this point, Vanessa. From an institutional player, when it comes to the social impact area, are you seeing adoption or interest in what Gloria was mentioning right now?
We see banks having a lot of interest in trying to increase financial inclusion, but let's say increase the system that they are working with. But it works. So we worked with Union Bank in the Philippines, creating a system where we connect the central bank, the Union Bank, with the rural banks and give them access to some financial services. So in turn, they can also grant more services to their users. So we see slowly the large institutions moving. I would say for mass adoption, most on the trading side and the investment side, I think it will be interesting when you'll be able to have allocation in your 401k of some crypto. I think mass adoption is really in the retirement space and the large institutional money moving around, and we're not ready for that yet for several reasons. I'm happy to go into that, but I think they're pretty common, related to custody, related to regulation, related to people having fiduciary duties towards their clients, and I think that's going to be one big challenge in the US, notably.
Yeah. Kris, would you agree? For the entry of institutional players, where are we on scale from 0 to 10? There's obviously all the headlines we know about, but...
just like with Amazon, it's day one for instos to enter crypto. And if you look at the food chain, right, I agree, there's a lot of simple roadblocks. The LPs that hold majority of funds, they don't have mandate to invest in crypto, right? They need to get mandates first, otherwise there's nothing to talk about. And in order for them to invest, even they get the mandate, if they want to invest into a crypto fund, you need to have custody, you need to have clear guidelines on how to value those assets. The trading venues themselves, they need to be much more tightly regulated, right? All those things are happening. Like, there's a lot of work being done. But if you just go through this box-ticking exercise, you can't do it today.
Correct.
So I think that it will happen eventually. It's not a question of if, it's only a question of when. And in institutional finance, social proof is extremely important. So if you see a few large reputable players actually getting it done, the rest will follow, the herd will follow.
Absolutely, we can tell you in our business we're seeing that right now, and there's probably actually a lot more activity on the institutional side now, ironically, than a lot of the startup activity, which is very interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm a little more forward, I think, on the curve. I see if we're going 0 to 10, I think we're like a 4. Actually, in terms of adoption from the mainstream or the institutional, we actually look at it more on the corporate side, things like Samsung. Maybe you guys saw the announcement last week, but Samsung is integrating the Engine wallet. The Engine wallet is powered by the Bancor protocol, and this is a gaming token-focused play, and Samsung has a lot of users of their phones that want access to gaming content, and this is some of the newest gaming content out there. If that app is successful on that phone, we assume that it will be on many phones, and many apps like this will be on many phones, and all the telcos are calling around being able to give their phones the competitive advantage in the market, right? What's the next coolest app in the App Store?
Well, that's more or less a consumer side of the story, right? You also have got Facebook coming up with their Facebook coin, and if they deploy this into WhatsApp and Messenger, it's going to be massive for the market, right? But I view this and Facebook play mostly as a consumer side adoption thing rather than institutional money coming into the space.
I mean, just to add to that, I think there's a difference between institutions and retail, right? Institutions is basically if they do an investment or anything like that, that's a large amount of money, but only for some. But if we're talking about 1 billion users, we really should be looking in terms of more retail users and consumer side of things, because that's really where the 1 billion of people are.
Yeah. Basically, it's quite, we're still a long way to go. I think the TOKEN2049, we're probably going to have the same conversation here. Hopefully, we'll move from 0 to 5. We have 3 minutes left. So I want to do quick fireside chat. So just to give you guys an idea, these are questions that panelists have no idea about. So just to give you guys an idea, I want answers are 1 or 2 words, like 1 or 2 seconds. And my best friend, the Bell, who follows me everywhere in the world, is going to be there. So if you guys are not fast enough, I'll buzz you guys on. And we have 3 minutes, so I'll go on with this quickly. We'll start from you, Kris, and we'll move on here. First question. Your 18-year-old nephew comes today and asks you, what is the one course he has to take at university that he should absolutely take before he graduates? What is your advice? What's the one course he should take? Or what's the one university course you wish you had taken when you were in school?
Computer science, software is eating the world, and crypto is eating finance.
Excellent. Vanessa?
Philosophy.
Philosophy. Here we go. And while playing polo, why not? Here you go, Bill.
Probably how to cook and do laundry.
I don't have to teach that, but hey, it's always useful.
Ethics.
Oh yeah, of course, very relevant. Maxine.
I wouldn't suggest that they go to university. I think they should just quit and start a company.
She did, which is very cool. We'll start from you this time. Donald Trump calls you tomorrow and tells you he wants you to be his crypto advisor to make America a great crypto nation again. What do you tell Donald Trump?
I'm not American.
Where do I sign up?
Oh, where do you sign up? That's good. Excellent. Bill, Donald Trump calls you to make America a great crypto nation again.
I had nothing, so sorry.
Vanessa.
I'm in.
You're in as well. Hey, here we go. If it's listening, we have volunteers here. Kris.
Change the reserve currency from USD to BTC.
Here we go. Okay, this one will start from you. This is an interesting one. Tomorrow you have the chance to launch a new crypto startup, and you have the choice between one of these co-founders. They're not crypto co-founders. Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Ma, Elon Musk, or my favorite, Kim Kardashian. Who do you choose as a co-founder?
No question, Elon Musk is not even human.
Vanessa.
Jack Ma, because he gets things done.
Gets things done, here we go. Elon Musk is not human, Jack Ma gets things done. Bill.
Oh, it's super easy. I mean, the best marketer of the whole group is Kim Kardashian. She can sell absolutely anything that does absolutely nothing to a billion people. I desperately need that because I have products that actually do something that most people never heard of. So
Kim Kardashian is the new CMO. Here you go, of Abra.
And I have to go with the none of the above and add another woman to the list, maybe a Sheryl Sandberg.
Good one. Actually, it's my fault. I should have it. It was Women's Day last week, and you know. Good point. Maxine.
I think for me it has to be Elon Musk. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna start this one with you. It's relevant to your last question. Your nephew comes again. Hey, he's asking you a lot of questions. Come and tells you he has a couple job offers. One from a large bank, one from a startup, one from a large Big Four consulting firm, and one from the government. Which job should he take?
He should take the startup. I mean, it depends what the startup is, but yeah, definitely the startup because you'll just get more experience that way.
Galia.
Any jobs from NGOs?
NGOs?
Yeah, not-for-profits.
Okay, we had NGO as one option.
Or startup.
Excellent. Bill?
So I've done all three, so I don't think I could have done what I'm doing today if I hadn't done all three, so I would say go out and try everything.
Yeah,
probably be my response.
everything.
Yeah.
Good one.
I would say banks to know how the system currently works and really have great training.
Yeah, good one.
Startups, that's the only way to live.
Last question, we're out of time already. If you were not doing the job you're doing today, and it could not be crypto, what will you be doing? Kris?
Crypto for life.
Crypto?
Crypto for life.
Crypto for life. Vanessa, if you're not doing the job you're doing today at ConsenSys, what are you doing?
Trading global macro. Trading global macro?
Trading global macro, here we go. Bill?
Probably a comedian.
Comedian?
There you go. See?
I learn stuff every day from these things. Good one, Bill. Galia?
I'd be an animator.
What kind of animator?
Animated movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like Pixar and DreamWorks.
Who says there's no talent in crypto? Here you go. Maxine, to finish it off, if you're not doing the job you're doing today, what would you be doing?
I'd probably have an agriculture tech fund because I come from a really small rural town in Australia, so I always dream about something like that.
Agri-tech. Guys, that's all the time we have today. Big hand of applause for the panel, and it's back to you on there. Take off.